So everyone just can have a look at the screen. Anyone have any questions from yesterday, or anything which they wanted to go through from yesterday? Any questions, anything like that? Okay, that's good. So what we're going to do today is just three main things. I want to spend a bit of time on the practical, a lot of time on the practical, inshallah, on the main thing which we so for those of you that have managed to find some time to write down the stuff which I ask you to do in the course, just want to take a look at that, inshallah. That's the first thing which we're going to do. So I'm going to ask you guys for any kind of thoughts. I think Shehzad's already kicked us off on that, if I'm honest. But we'll just take a bit of time just to make a bit of a list of what's going on with that. Then we'll try and split our prayers into the ones which do have an action and those which are kind of more generic and long-term kind of thing. And then inshallah we'll go into a bit of a practical. Anyway, so this is one of the thoughts, one of the comments which came through yesterday actually, and obviously yesterday I didn't have time to actually go into it, so I thought I'd just Saliha, shh, please, okay. So this is what somebody said yesterday, and this was, I think, in terms of what Brother Imran was saying, and I think what I ended up replying as well. It was quite a deep kind of discussion, I think. But this is what somebody said, which is that there's a disconnect between how we think of dua and what dua is meant to be sometimes. And we tend to think that it has to be deep, meaningful and emotional. Whereas in reality, and I thought this was a good point, this was actually written by Brother Umar, I don't think he's here yet. But what he said is that as well as being like often emotional and really deep and meaningful, sometimes the dua will actually not be that deep. It will just be like kind of a ritual. It will just be something that you do. What Shehzad said to kick us off today actually was that that sometimes we forget to bring the consciousness. Yeah, so there's kind of a balance, because what Imran was saying yesterday was that it's really deep and it's very emotional and there's a lot of consciousness and awareness. But then at the same time, sometimes it is just a ritual, which is to kick something off. And I think often it's actually bringing them both together. So we actually have the saying the dua and also the ritual. I think they're both Saliha. Come please, show nahi karo, okay? वरना आपको ऊपर जाना पड़ेगा. लेकिन बहुत शोर हो रहा है. Okay, लेकिन please नहीं खेलो इसके साथ. यहाँ जो, okay, उसके साथ नहीं खेलो. Okay? So that's my man. Hamdan says, Assalamu alaikum Hamdan, how are you, man? Alhamdulillah, man. Good. Saliha, please. Saliha, नहीं खेलो इसके साथ, वरना ऊपर चले जाओ, okay? Anyway, so this is one of the things which kind of we went through yesterday. So I think one of the things which hopefully we'll do over the next few days, over the next 2 or 3 days, is actually be able to take the individual action du'as which we do and actually merge them together with the longer term generic du'as which we're doing. I think that's one of the points of the course, which the course helps us do. So what I wanted to do is start off with you guys, inshallah. And from day one, which is the list that we're trying to make. I know we made a list a couple of days ago, but I just wanted to get any kind of deeper insights into what kind of things have come up on your on the list of things which are there at the moment. So has anyone got anything for the list?
Yeah, I added today, because I'm on day 3.
Oh, okay.
So I added, I've been teaching Tai Chi to someone on the path.
Wow.
So I used that for a dua before I took the lesson today, just to ask to enhance the teaching, so I could get to grips with it more. I mean, I've been doing it for a long time, but it doesn't hurt to have some help from Allah.
Yeah, true, man.
I did have a funny insight. I've been doing dua before eating.
Yeah.
And when I had my meal last night, I got the distinct feeling that although I'm eating and I'm satisfying myself with food, there was that one bit that wasn't being satisfied. And I noticed that thing about we can't live on bread alone. It was a feeling that there is something else that needs to be satisfied, that food and drink and everything else we do is just not going to hit the spot. And that really came through while I was eating. I thought it was quite interesting.
That's true, man. I think this is why it's so important to actually have consciousness on our du'as. Because sometimes if we've not asked the question, if we've not kind of made the intention, if we've not asked the du'a, we might struggle to even notice the du'as get accepted sometimes, even with what's going normal in our life. How do you spell Tai Chi? Is that right? That's my attempt.
T-A-I.
Yeah.
C-H-I.
Oh, Tai Chi. Okay, it's easier than I thought.
There's
Okay.
different ways of spelling it, but yeah,
MashaAllah. Okay, that's a good start, man. And also before food, yeah? That's good, man. Both of those were action ones. Good. Anyone else? In terms of...
Hopefully when I'm going to wake up, I do the dua that you mentioned anyway. Alhamdulillah.
Which dua? Sorry, you're proper breaking up, Hamdan, man. I don't know, there's something wrong with your mic. Or there's something wrong with your throat. Okay, I can't hear you, Hamdan, man. You're going to have to put it in the chat. Because you're really, really breaking up. I really can't hear you, man. I think there might be something wrong with your mic. Waking up dua. Okay. Yeah, man. Okay, that's good. Is there anyone else?
I usually do it, but I lost the use of it. So I have started from yesterday's one, the dua that I usually do before going to the toilet.
Okay.
Now coming out to the toilet. It was a good reminder yesterday when you mentioned it, so
Okay.
I started doing it. I stick the dua on the door, so that every time I go, not only me, my family, they remember it, because it's very easy to forget. But it's when it's on its face, when you enter the toilet, you get reminded and you see the dua. So that's how we have kept it, and so we play it.
Yeah, that's really good, man. Alhamdulillah. Shall anyone else? MashaAllah. Did anyone actually write any of them down, or is everyone just gonna guess them? So the idea was to try and actually write them down as well, because that would be really useful. Because if you actually write
them down, I found that quite useful.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I went through the first lesson, Monday, and I wrote down my dua that I usually ask.
Oh, okay, mashallah, that's really good, man.
And I want to see how different it's gonna make in the next week or so, inshallah.
Mashallah. Inshallah, that's really good, man. Okay, that's really good, man. Everyone, I think we've got some good ideas come through. Someone said before treating a client, which is very interesting, man. Alhamdulillah. Anyone else want to say anything, or shall we start before leaving the house?
Yeah, I did one before I read the Quran today, so I could understand it better.
What was the dua? Just in English?
Yeah, just in English.
That's good. Yeah, I find that's really useful. The thing is, with myself, before reading Quran, I think reading A'udhu Billahi Minash Shaitanir Rajim, because that's a dua as well, for kind of protection from shaitan. I find that reading that kind of increases clarity to some extent, just by reading that dua. And obviously that's the dua, kind of the Quran itself says that make sure you seek protection from shaitan before reading the Quran. But definitely I guess that requires some kind of awareness of the Arabic as well. So I'd recommend, as well as saying it in English, because I think saying it in English will help with the awareness side of things, and just knowing that we want the extra understanding and the depth kind of thing. But even just for those of you that don't say in English and even just read the Arabic, when you actually read A'udhu Billahi Minash Shaitanir Rajim, definitely having that awareness of how that actually increases your clarity when you're reciting the Quran. Does that make sense? So I think before Quran we always have du'as anyway. So I think we'll leave it there for our list. I think that's a nice little list we've got there. And just all I want to do before we move on is I just want to take a move that there. I just want to split these into two columns. So one is generic, which is kind of a long-term dua, and one is a dua which is actually associated with an action. Now, the beautiful thing is that what's happened today, and actually to understand this, I'm going to have to bring up the last lesson slide, which I wasn't planning to do, so I'm hoping I can find it. Should be here. So I want to bring out for comparison purposes, so you guys can see what I'm trying to say here. Here it is. So I want to look at. So this is what happened last time. Yeah, can everyone see the slide? So this is when I told you guys, tell me your du'as. This is the list you guys came up with. Yeah. Now there's a theme which goes through these du'as, which is on the screen at the moment. What's the theme? They're all pretty.
For there to be less suffering and stuff like that. Like for everyone to be good and happy, pretty much.
They're kind of more long-term generic one.
Yes, thanks, Sister Nicola. Yeah, I think that was. I think what Zaid said to some extent was right, but what I was looking for is that these were very generic. And if I just want to go back 2 days in our lives, when we normally think of dua as Muslims, when most Muslims think of dua, it's usually something quite generic. Does that make sense? So it's like, I want like a really big house, I want to go to paradise, I want to be really pious, I want to be connected to Allah, and let's look at the list. I want strength for worship, I want the Muslim Ummah to be helped, I want to be connected to humanity, I want to have abundance, and these are kind of long-term generic kind of goals. Yeah. So I just want everyone to keep that in mind. That's what happened 2 days ago. Now if we come to the list we just made now, what's the difference? They're not as generic anymore. Now the du'as, Anan, you're going to have to be on your job a little bit better than that. So the list of our du'as now is that they're all really, really focused to an action. So before teaching Tai Chi, before eating food, as soon as I wake up, before entering the toilet, after exiting the toilet, before working with a client, treating a client, depends how you define it, before studying, before sleeping, before leaving the house, before reciting the Quran. So we've gone from very, very like generic and like what I sometimes call a bit airy-fairy to quite specific. Yes, Nicola, you going to say something? Okay, no one's saying anything. So
I was going to say that I actually find that I tend to do more specific du'as anyway. Probably not. I mean, they're just as I go along. So, Allah's given me a gift of being able to heal people. So I would ask Him to, that I can do my best whenever I start to treat a client, or when I'm doing that sort of thing. So, because although He's given me a gift, He could take it away tomorrow if He wanted to. So, sort of saying thank you for it, and can He give me a hand with this one as well?
Yeah, true, man.
If I'm sort of doing running, I'm doing an event, and I'm suffering a bit, it's always a case of, you know where I am, you know what I'm doing, need your help, need to do this, that sort of thing. It's more of a conversation for me, if you like.
Yeah. Now that definitely makes sense. I think that is what dua really should be. It should be very, very personal. It's like it's our means of having a conversation with Allah. I think that's very, very true indeed. I think before we move on, just the reason sometimes our du'as are generic is because when we're making du'as from the Quran and the Sunnah, and kind of after praying we're making a du'a, or we're making du'a in the morning and evening, or within our prayer, then sometimes those du'as are kind of generic. So we make dua for afiyah, for goodness, for protection, for happiness, for these kind of things. Anan, can you just make sure there's no mics which are on, because we're getting a lot of interference. So that's why it's really important that we do have some generic du'as. I'm not saying get rid of all your generic du'as, but I think what I wanted to do by doing this little process of writing down all your du'as, getting in touch with your du'as, is just to actually come to a point where you're in touch with your generic du'as, but all of your generic du'as should also have specific action points which you're taking as well. Does that make sense? So that way, in reality, they do come together. They work together perfectly. They don't go against each other. But just when we bring that clarity, I think we have that awareness of having specific du'as and generic du'as. Is that okay with everyone? So at the moment we're still kind of on day one. So I'm still on day one. I know some of you have moved on, or some of you finished the whole course in one day, mashallah. But I definitely would recommend, if you can. But I wouldn't say go back to day one. If you want to do it again, I'd say maybe do it again, or maybe do it, break it down a little bit and just take it a bit more slowly if you can as well. Because I think it definitely does help to do one day at a time. So doing day one. So I've been doing day one today's the third day of doing day one. And I'm going to encourage, inshallah, tomorrow, as in today, I'm going to move on to day two. So I'm going to encourage everyone to definitely move on to day two, because tomorrow I'm going to be trying to work on that. So this is what I wrote down for my du'as for the first day, but it's the third time I've done it. So I think one of the things was activate the full awareness of my potential. Because something which sometimes I worry about is, like, as human beings, when we know that we have so many gifts given to us by Allah, it's possible that we don't always realize how much potential that we have, how much that we actually can do. So that's why I think just being able to ask Allah to actually allow me to realize what potential there is for me to actually bring about into the world. Because sometimes if we miss our potential, then I kind of feel a bit scared that, I had this much potential and I haven't been able to make the most. So 1 minute, I'm just going to have to get rid of my niece, man. Sorry, man. She was really, I don't know, man. She woke up a bit early today. So usually she comes about quarter to 7. So it's kind of alright. But I think she was, I don't know, man. But anyway, sorry people. Sorry for that disturbance. I do apologize. So that was the first thing, trying to activate the full awareness of my potential, so I can realize like what it is that I'm actually meant to do. I think yesterday I made dua for light. I like that light dua, it's really useful. So I made it at night time, and I really kind of enjoyed making that dua. So hopefully we'll get to that at the end. And at the same time as making dua for light, then I think yesterday I actually realized that at the same time as making dua for light, I also kind of need protection from darkness at the same time. Because like if you've got loads of light but at the same time there's loads of evil stuff going on, then that's not very good at all. So protection from shaitan, protection from darkness, and kind of, if we're asking for guidance, then it's good to have protection from deviance as well. That's what kind of happens in Surah Fatiha. But yeah, man, that was just a few of the things I made dua for. I think we'll move on to some of the practical for today. So what I don't know what happened here. No idea what happened there. But anyway, so for tomorrow I'm going to be doing day 2. And I'd recommend every one of you guys who wants to kind of keep up to date with this, I'd recommend going through day 2 for tomorrow, inshallah. And again, trying to actually make a list. So if I say make a list, trying to write that down on paper. And day 1 basically, which is what, so this is an example of what should happen as a result of doing day 1. What's on the screen now is an example of really what should happen after you've done day 1. So you should have a list of all the du'as you make throughout the day. And like we mentioned yesterday, it's possible this is a bit scary, and naturally there'll be a lot of unconscious energy around this. I think sometimes people will be like, I don't need to do this, or I prefer not to do this. So I think for a lot of people this will be hard, but this is the kind of thing which I'd recommend, that you get aware of what you are asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for. Anyway, man. So I wanted to move on to the practical. So we've got about 20 minutes today. Hopefully we've got more time for the practical. Usually we run out of time and we're like, oh, there's no time for practical. But before I move on, I just want to give everyone a chance to ask any. Has anyone got any questions before we move on? That's good, man. Ramadhan, I'm sorry, man. Your mic, I don't know what's happened to your mic, man. Yeah, man, your mic is messed up. Sorry, your mic's not working today, man. So I really can't hear you. So I'm sorry about that, man. But if you wanna just put stuff in the chat,
can you hear me now?
That's better, man. That's better.
It's my Apple were designed in China and also created in China as well. That's why.
What, did they bring the coronavirus with them or something? Chalo, man.
Only they're alright.
Oh, okay. Chalo.
If you have any questions, you answer them all.
Okay, alhamdulillah, man. Chalo, good to have everyone here. And we'll move on to this, inshallah. So, in terms of the practical, there's 3 things I want to do. Obviously, the practical is to make a dua, hopefully at some point. But before we actually get to making the dua, there's 2 things which I'm going to do, which is, one is bring a bit of awareness to what resonance is, because that's quite important. And also I want to solidify some of the beliefs which we need to have. So dua is dependent on our beliefs. Yeah, like the belief system which you have is very, very important. It's very important to understand your own belief system, how it is, where it is, and what it looks like. And based on that, the quality of your dua being accepted and how the dua manifests is very often going to be dependent on that. So we're going to look at resonance, which is a complex thing, but we'll come to that. Then how that affects the beliefs, and how gratitude helps that. And then we'll come on to the du'as which we're going to make. So to understand resonance, the first thing is to understand where we are by default, which is often, because we're in the physical world, it's quite easy to forget that we're spiritual beings. And this can happen at a different level for everyone. But generally what will happen is, if we forget Allah, it's possible to operate with these beliefs that to summarize all of these, is we're on earth by accident. I think that's a summary of these few beliefs that we have here. That Allah's kind of not helping me, He's not looking after me, He probably doesn't even know that I exist, and He doesn't really help me that much. And if you're coming into your dua with that vibration, the dua is going to be it's going to work at a certain level. So that's why I think just understanding the default very often. The default comes from the physical world. I don't say that we're all like this all the time, but when you're operating in the physical world, sometimes this kind of belief system can kind of come into our being. Does that make sense? I think it's quite easy for us to forget about Allah and how much He looks after us. So we're going to go into trying to go from this kind of a mindset to the mindset which is more optimal for making dua. So resonance is, to summarize it, not wanting the thing which we want so much. So not believing that we're so distant from the thing that we want. And it's kind of to come into the idea, we resonate with the idea, with the thing that we're asking for. Does that make sense? As opposed to being distant from it. Yeah, so the word resonate is probably an English word which makes more sense than resonance. To resonate with something, to feel like you have something, to feel like you're close to something. And sometimes when we want something, we become distant from it. Like we become like we don't have that thing. We're like, I really, really want this thing because I don't have it. So I think it's important to realize that Allah will give us who we are, who we resonate with, as opposed to always what we want. So I think it's important to keep that in mind when we're going forward. And don't worry too much if that's a bit complex. It will make a bit more sense when we go through the next couple of slides, inshallah. So what we're trying to do is, in terms of to become somebody who resonates with the things which we are making dua for. If you're making dua to be connected to Allah, you want to resonate with being a slave of Allah, for example. So we're going to just go a bit deeper into how we can resonate with the things that we want a bit more. I hope that makes sense. So in order to resonate with the things that we want, these are the beliefs that will help. Yeah. So this is just an overview of the beliefs that. So if we have the default beliefs of believing that we're kind of here by accident, Allah's not helping us and we're a mistake, then the beliefs on the screen now are the beliefs which will actually put us into a more optimal state for dua. The beliefs which will get our du'as to manifest in a really powerful way. Number one, we are worthy. Like if you're asking Allah for something, you have to believe that you deserve to get the thing that you're asking Allah for. This is very, very important. Number two, we are forgiven. So, for example, even when we do the Jummah khutbah, Inna alhamdulillah, nahmaduhu, wa nasta'inuhu, wa nastaghfiruhu. Right at the beginning, we ask for forgiveness. Whenever you do any dua. I think Salman's not even... Where's Salman, Rashad, man? I don't think he's here today. But Salman asked a really nice question, which is that when you, before you start dua, that are you meant to do gratitude? And the obvious answer is yes, because if you think of Surah Fatiha as a dua, or even if you listen to like Sheikh Sudais, when he makes dua in Makkah on the 27th night and he makes that really long dua, the first like 10 minutes is just gratitude. It's just hamd of Allah, praising the different things which Allah has put in the world. So that's really, really important, to believe that you're forgiven. And then realizing that we have the Prophet ﷺ as our role model, so we have something to aim for, and that Allah cares about us and that Allah is helping us. So these are the beliefs that we're hoping to create within ourselves before we make dua. This is just the theory, yeah? So the practical is not started yet. So the default is sometimes Allah's forgotten about us, and we're trying to go from there to the fact that we are worthy and Allah does care about us. Does that make sense? That's just a theory. Is everyone happy with that, or is that a bit complex? If there's any questions about that, you're welcome to ask them now before we move. Abdul Qudus is here. Assalamu alaikum, Abdul Qudus. It always makes me happy to have you here. I don't know why, man. It's been a long time, you know. Dr. Mudathir's here, Faizan's here, Wissam's here, Rayyan's here. Good to have you all, man. Alpha's here. Medina's here. The whole of Medina's here. Brilliant, man. Sister Alex is here. MashaAllah, man. Nice to have you all. Assalamu alaikum to all of you. And very, very good to have you here. So one of the things which, like Salman said, gratitude is kind of the starting point for our dua. So we're going to start with gratitude today. And remember, just keep in mind the theory. I don't want you to forget the theory. The theory is that sometimes we act like that Allah's forgotten about us. So we want to go from that kind of default mindset to people who believe that Allah is there to look after us and Allah is on our side. Yeah, so that's what this is what I'm going to call priming. So we're going to do priming for our dua. Before we even get into our dua, we're going to get ready to actually do our dua. So one of the most powerful exercises is to do hamd of Allah. Is to kind of bring more gratefulness to all of the things which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us. Yeah, so this starts with gratitude. And not only does this make us grateful, and therefore people who think that Allah will give us whatever we ask Him, it also gives us an awareness for how Allah operates, because we're going to focus on some of the things which Allah does. So something which, just to start off with, is just maybe for those of you that are close to a window, is to look at something which Allah's created directly. Before you come to your body, just look at something else. So maybe a tree, maybe you've got a plant in your room, maybe you've got an apple, maybe you've got a fruit bowl there, and you've got lots of things which Allah's created in there. Those of you that are close to a window, you can look at the sky. Hopefully you can see a tree maybe, or a bush, or maybe you've got some grass in your garden. Maybe you can see that. But anyway, just take, hopefully you've all found something. Has everyone found something here? Just find something, and I want you to use your sense of sight to look at it. So you're going to appreciate it in terms of what you can see. So just be aware of what it is that you can see. I think that's quite important. Just take a couple of seconds to do that. And now just bringing your attention to your breath. So taking a breath in through your nose and noticing how your breath comes in, man. Gee, is everyone doing this? So breathing in through your nose, people. Breathing in through your nose. Something we sometimes forget that we even are doing. We become so unconscious about this deep activity which we do all the time. So it's noticing that the breath comes in through your nose, following it in, and then following it out as well. And just bringing that awareness to your breath a little bit. And just realizing that's something which happens automatically in our body. Sometimes we don't even have to give it that much attention. And it happens by itself. And then just asking yourself, just in terms of a gratitude exercise, asking yourself, what else is going right? It might be something to do with your body, or it could be anything else in your life which is going good. And just in terms of that question, I'm just going to come into the rules of questions, asking these kind of empowering questions. Is that when you ask the question, it's good to leave a bit of space for the answer to come, rather than trying to give the answer with your logical mind so much. So just when you ask what's going right, give a bit of time for the answer to come to you, whatever that might be. And we're just going to do a couple of these questions. Again, these questions, they take us from that default state, they take us from a state of kind of thinking that we're here by accident and that there's nothing good going on, and they take us to a state of realizing that Allah has everything in control, that Allah is there for us. This is very, very important. So just asking that first question, that what if everything that's happened in my life so far is exactly what was meant to have happened. Nothing happened by accident. No single incident of our past. Abdullah, your mic's on, man, and you're breathing quite heavily, man. I know I told you to breathe, but not that much, man. But just realizing that everything that's happened in our past is exactly what was meant to have happened. There's not much that we need to worry about our journey which we've had so far. And ask yourself, how can we actually trust that based on our journey we're actually exactly where we're meant to be? Geez, everyone got that question. And ask yourself, how come we love to think that we're actually in control? That it's us who decide everything that happens. That everything that happened in the past was like something which we specifically made loads of effort for, rather than something which Allah planned and we just allowed it to happen. And how much do we believe that Allah is in control? And how much do we trust that Allah is on our side? Gee, is everyone asking these questions, yeah? They're important questions, man. And how would I behave if I knew that I could not go off Allah's plan? If Allah's plan was exactly the same as what happens in my life? How would we behave if we could trust that? Because this is important, because sometimes then we're making dua for things which we think that we want, and then we think we want this and we don't get this thing which we think we want, and we're not actually in touch at all with Allah's plan. So it's very important to be aware of how Allah's plan is actually always unfolding so perfectly. So the first dua we're going to make is a dua for protection from shaitan. As we go deeper into this exercise, just the first thing we're going to do is protection from shaitan, protection from distractions, and hopefully this dua will give us just a bit more clarity. So everyone's going to read this dua. Are you guys ready, yeah? So again, just remembering that to have your breath in your control. Take your breath in through your nose, follow the breath out, أعوذ بالله. Good. من الشيطان الرجيم. Good. This time just following the breath in, not forcing the breath, no control. If you try, and this is a brilliant example actually. If you try and control your breath, that's the easiest way to lose control of your breath, as paradoxical as that may sound. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. Bismillah. So we're just moving on to this dua. This is like the dua for taking the blessing of Allah. For those of you that have done day 2 of the course, you will know that this is the dua. There's no other dua. The Prophet ﷺ, he actually mentions in a hadith that كل أمر ذي بال لم يبدأ بسم الله. Yeah, that every action is kind of problem, could cause you a problem unless it started with the name of Allah, unless you take the help of Allah in that action. So in terms of understanding that, what we learn is that when you take the name of Allah, and sometimes just take the awareness that Allah is with you and helping you, that's what gives you blessings in your actions. So now we just took that protection from shaitan, we brought that clarity. The next step is to ask Allah's help, to make sure that we're aware that Allah is there for us. Bismillah Rahim. الرحمن الرحيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Good. And I just want to do some gratitude in Arabic. Obviously the most common way, and even again if you look at du'as which are recommended by the Prophet ﷺ, when the du'a comes after an action, so talking about segment du'as which are for a segment, du'a for eating food, du'a for leaving the toilet, if the du'a is for after these actions, very often it will start with Alhamdulillah. For example, when you wake up after sleeping, Alhamdulillahi alladhi ahyana. When you leave the toilet, Ghufranak, Alhamdulillahi alladhi adhaba. That's the dua for the toilet. After eating food, again it's gratitude, Alhamdulillahi alladhi at'amana wa saqan. So the du'as after actions are very often gratitude. So again, just keeping that in mind, and here just realizing that just one of the primings that we can do is say the Arabic of gratitude for Allah. So Alhamdulillahi. Good. And what I want you guys to do today is just bring the attention to the Arabic letters just a little bit as well if you can. So Alhamdu. Good. And now just the name of Allah, realizing that what's coming up is the name of Allah. So if you can look at the screen, there's the Li, and then that's the name of Allah. You might be able to recognize it, most of you. So Lillahi, Alhamdulillahi, Rabbil Alameen. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Gee, any questions, people? Okay, this is the...
Sorry, can you just go back one slide and just follow it with the mouse as you say it?
Sorry, okay, yeah. So, this is the Hamza, this joins onto Lam. Alhamdu. So this is all praise, all thanks. To be honest, this is not just for converts that this will be, or people who are new to Arabic, even Muslims, who are born Muslims and have been Muslims for like 50, 70 years. Just when you get this concept, like for example, the Quran course, which is on the Enhancing Salah course, which is on YouTube, very often that's what I try and do in there. And I'm aware that I actually went too quick for most of you. The reason for that is actually because of time. But as AJ said, let's slow down. I think let's slow down. Why not? So the first word, and for those of you that want to practice reading it, I would definitely recommend reading it again, taking your time with it. Alhamdu. So al-ham, this is the big ha, comes from the throat. Alhamdu. Most of you will, even the dal, your tongue might get a bit tied up. It's a very simple sound. Do. Alhamdu. Lillahi. It's the name of Allah. All praises for Allah. So this is how we thank Allah. Alhamdulillahi. Then the ra. Rabbil. Bil'a. So sorry, mouse following. Ra. Rabbil'a. Then the a. This is the a sound here. And this is the stretching of the a. So ala. This is the lam. Ala. Mean. A lot of people go unconscious on the mean. I don't know why. Alameen. Rabbil Alameen. Good. So now just breathing. I just want you to breathe. Now you've practiced all the stuff individually. Just want you to breathe. Remember to follow your breath in. And this time now you've practiced it, you'll be quite good at it. It was quite easy. You won't need to force anything. So I want you to notice and bring curiosity instead of forcing anything. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Good. Hope that was helpful. Gee, any more questions, or shall we move on to the next slide? Good. Okay, I was going to do this long one, but it's a bit long. I really like it, man. So I'll probably do this one instead, because based on I think the reading skills which we have, we might struggle with reading. This doesn't really have much, and obviously here I'd recommend taking a screenshot of this so you can kind of read it in your own time if you want to, and the English is there as well. But this is the Noor dua I like. This has a bit of an extension at the end, which it starts talking about Allahumma atini nura waj'al fi asabi nura, like put light in my veins and in my flesh, in my blood, fi dami, in my sha'ri, in my hair, and in my skin. And it's kind of goes a bit deeper, but I don't think we'll have time to go through that whole. That's why I like that long one. This is a bit of a condensed version, what's on the screen now, and this kind of just covers some of the more basic things. But I think if you want to read the Arabic, we'll be able to get through this within the few minutes we've got left. Is everyone ready? Yeah. Oh, sorry. So, Allahumma. Good. So Allahumma, oh Allah. Yeah. Allahumma ij'al. Good. So, oh Allah, ij'al. Ij'al means place. Yeah. Allahumma ij'al. So try and just get comfortable with that. Allahumma ij'al. Good. Fi qalbi. Some of you will know what qalb means. Qalb is quite a famous Arabic word. Heart. Qalbi, my heart. those of you that know basic Arabic, you know that the ya here, qalbi, basari, sam'i, the ya indicates to me. So qalbi, my heart, basari, my sight. But just notice this is two words essentially. Qalb is heart, and the yi means mine. So fi qalbi, in my heart. Allahumma ij'al fi qalbi. So, oh Allah, place in my heart Noora, light. Yeah. So remember to breathe. Allahumma ij'al fi qalbi Noora. Good. Wa fi basari. Basar, sight, ability to see. It says eyes at the bottom. Eyes, you can say eyes. وَفِي بَصَرِي نُورًا. Everyone got that? Any questions? وَفِي سَمْعِي نُورًا. Good. So that's just 3 body parts essentially. So my heart, my sight, and my listening. Those of you that are deep on Arabic, you'll know that basar is not eyes, it's more kind of the ability to see. Sam'i is more the ability to listen. Eyes is ayn, isn't it? And someone is udhunun. But generally you can say, oh Allah, please place light in my heart, light in my eyes, and light in my ears. But when you look a bit deeper, it's actually sight, so it's kind of foresight, so you can see beyond what the physical eye can see. And sam'i, so you can hear beyond what the physical ears can actually hear. So you have light which gives you enlightenment. Then we move on to more kind of physical places. So وَعَنْ يَمِينِي, yamin, right. وَعَنْ يَمِينِي نُورًا. Yeah. So again, we're following on from ij'al. So this ij'al, for those of you into Arabic, ij'al an yamini nura. So place light towards my right. Everyone happy with the pronunciation, yeah? Wa an yasari nura. And place light towards my left. So, yasar is left, isn't it? Wa fawqi nura. And on top of me, light. وَتَحْتِي نُورًا. And below me, light. وَأَمَامِي نُورًا. And amam, in front of me, light. وَخَلْفِي نُورًا. And behind me, light. So, sorry, I should follow with the mouth, shouldn't I? So, وَعَنْ يَمِينِي, on my right, yasari, my left, on top, below, in front, and behind. And these are just places in relation to yourself. Again, we've still got this ya here, so these are all in relation to you. So, khalf, those of you that have done the orange book, you'll probably know all these words. You'll know fawqa, tahta, amama, khalfa, they come quite early, don't they? So these means in relation to me. Khalfi, behind me. Amami, in front of me. On top of me, below me. Everyone got that? And the final phrase, وَجْعَلْ لِي نُورًا. And waj'al, and make for me light, and make light for me. Give me nur, basically. Give me light.
So, sorry to interrupt you, Habib, but you know when you say wa'aj, or is it waj?
Waj. Waj. So that's an alif, which is going to be missed out there. The separate. You'll notice that in the Quran sometimes, but you go straight on, just like.
Sure.
Yeah.
It sounds like you know when you pronounce it so beautifully. It sounds like the one alif is still there. I didn't want to pronounce it, so I thought I'll ask a question.
Yeah, just to explain that, this is an imperative. Some of you might know the Arabic behind it, but even if you go to the beginning, Allahumma ij'al fi qalbi. But if you're joining it, it's Allahumma ij'al. Same here. Wa ij'al. Wa is a separate word. Wa means and. yeah, then ij'al, place. This is we're asking Allah, we're telling Allah, give. So waj'al, you're just joining them together. So when you join, the alif becomes silent. So waj'al li nura, so place for me nur, give me nur, basically give me light. Yeah, man, that's that dua. Should we go through it together quickly? I think we're time's close to up. What we got, Alif? We'll just quickly read through this whole dua together, I think, before we wrap up. Is that okay with everyone? If anyone does need to leave, you're welcome to leave. But I just wanted to read the whole. Considering we've yeah, definitely, man. Considering we've practiced the whole thing, I think we should just read through it because it's fresh in our minds, isn't it? So Allahumma ij'al fi qalbi nura. Follow through with the mouse as well, yeah. That first one's a bit long, so just remember to breathe as well, yeah. Take your time to get ready. Allahumma ij'al fi qalbi nura wa fi basari nura. That's your eyes. Wa fi sam'i nura. Your ears. وعن يميني نورا, right side. وعن يساري نورا, left side. وفوقي نورا, on top. وتحتي نورا, underneath. وأمامي نورا, in front. وخلفي نورا, behind. واجعل لي نورا, and just give me light in abundance. So you can screenshot this. I'd recommend screenshotting that, especially if you can read Arabic. You can read the Arabic, and the English is there as well. I think the English is right. I haven't checked the English. I got this from Google. Let me just check the English is right. So divine light, obviously. So divine light gives the thing. So as opposed to light, so light in your heart, so you can see clearly, you can understand more clearly. Basari, so you can actually have foresight. Sam'i, you can hear things, notice things which sometimes you might miss. So that's the kind of light we're asking for. And then this light, this foresight, comes to right, left, above, below, and in front and behind. So everything kind of becomes more illuminated. We're not in the dark so much about stuff. And waj'al li nura, and then we get that light for ourselves. Sorry, I was meant to read through the English. So place nur in my heart, ears and eyes. My heart, eyes and ears. Eyes and ears, like I said, the actual Arabic doesn't mean eyes and ears. Yeah, because basar is kind of sight. So the connotation is that you actually can understand what you usually miss, as opposed to like actually having light here. We don't want to shine torches into our eyes. And then right, left, above and below, that's all right. Ahead and behind, and give me nur. So there's a good translation as well. That's an accurate translation. But yeah, man, we'll leave it there, inshallah, for today. And we'll inshallah I'll see you all tomorrow, inshallah, 6 o'clock. Just in terms of what I'd want you to do, try and do day 2 of the dua course for tomorrow if you can. And that's what I'm going to try and do. And I'll probably be sharing whatever you need to share there tomorrow, inshallah. Shalom, man. Good to have you all, man. And see you tomorrow at 6 o'clock.
Thank you, everyone. Assalamu alaikum, everyone.
Wa alaikum salam.
Okay, thank you, Abi, and thank you for sharing this dua.
You're welcome, man.
Wow, I screenshotted it already.
MashaAllah, man. Wa alaikum salam.
I'll see you tomorrow, inshallah.
Inshallah. MashaAllah, good communication skills, man. Well done. Barakallah. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Barakallah. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Yes, Abdul Qudus. I know it was good revision of Nahwa and Sarf, wasn't it? Alhamdulillah, man. Thanks, man. Wa alaikum salam. Wa alaikum salam, Rashad Bhai. Jazakallah, man. Nice to have you, man. Thanks for your insights at the beginning, man. Your feedback. It's good feedback. Okay.
Thank you, Habib.
You're welcome, man. Jazakallah.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone.
Wa alaikum salam, Sister Gulsen, man. Good to see you, man. Sure, I'm gonna end it there, man. Who's left? Mudathir, I didn't say hi to you, man. Mudathir, are you there? You're gone. Okay. Oh, alaikum salam. Good to speak. Good to hear from you, man. Nice to have you. Everyone's gone. It's just me and you left, and Abdul Hafiz is not there. Inshallah. Abdul Hafiz is there.
Yeah, you.
Sorry, man. I thought you'd gone for a break to do some work.
No, brother, I haven't gone anywhere. I'm listening to everything you say.
Oh, mashallah, man. Good to have you, man.
Rather than saying anything.
Oh, alhamdulillah, man. That's good,
By
man.
the way, I'm upset with you. You have disturbed my niece. Where she's gone? We haven't seen her since you told her to go away.
Sorry, man. She was being a bit naughty today, man. She was annoyed.
That's alright. That's what the kids are meant to be.